65 million years ago, Earth wasn't just a world of giants. It was a battleground of monsters. Among them, one name echoes through time like a drumbeat of fear. Tyrannosaurus Rex. The king, the executioner, the apex predator that stood at the peak of nature's most brutal hierarchy. It was a beast that didn't just hunt, it dominated. With bone-crushing jaws, towering size, and eyes that held no mercy, T-Rex was the ultimate terror of its time. But here's the thing. Kings don't just appear. They don't rise from the dirt as legends. They are built, forged. And before the T-Rex, before the world even knew such horror was possible, there was another ruler. A shadowed nightmare. A tyrant history nearly forgot. Before T-Rex, the throne belonged to Daspletosaurus, the frightful lizard. A predator so savage, so relentless that even its own kind wasn't safe from its hunger. This wasn't just another dinosaur, it was an apex executioner in its own right. A hulking beast, thick with muscle, scarred by battle, built for one thing, destruction. But no king rules forever, no matter how powerful. The reign of Daspletosaurus, once undisputed, came to a mysterious and brutal end. Did nature cast it aside? Did something deadlier rise to take its place? Or did it become something far more terrifying, something that would rewrite the definition of apex predator forever? To truly understand the terror that was Daspletosaurus, you have to step back millions of years, to a world where survival meant something far more brutal than anything we can imagine today. Before the infamous T-Rex ruled the lands, North America was already home to a predator nearly as terrifying. Daspletosaurus wasn't just a dinosaur. It was a war machine wrapped in flesh. It was massive, spanning over 30 feet in length, standing over 10 feet tall at the hips, and weighing as much as 4 tons. It had a skull built like a battering ram, thick and wide, packed with teeth that could crunch through bone like dry wood. Its bite was among the deadliest of its time, capable of turning prey into shattered remains in seconds. But its power wasn't just in brute force. It had something far worse. Intelligence. Most predators rely on sheer strength or speed. Daspletosaurus had both, but it also had strategy. Fossil evidence suggests it may have hunted in packs, a nightmare scenario that changes everything we thought we knew about prehistoric killers. Imagine a group of these monsters moving as one, setting up ambushes, cutting off escape routes, attacking with precision. A single Daspletosaurus was terrifying enough. A coordinated group? That was extinction in motion. And yet, despite this power, Daspletosaurus was not the kind of creature to show restraint, even among its own kind. It lived by a savage rule: the weak do not belong. Many of its fossils bear deep bite marks, not from prey, but from other Daspletosaurus. Some of these wounds healed, proof that these creatures didn't just fight, they survived each other. Others were far more chilling. Bones stripped clean, gnawed down to nothing, leaving only one conclusion. Daspletosaurus was a cannibal. Whether out of desperation, dominance, or sheer instinct, it devoured its own kind. The injured, the slow, the defeated. They weren't just cast aside, they were eaten. A world ruled by predators this ruthless could not last forever. And as the clock of evolution continued ticking, something began to change. The reign of Daspletosaurus was ending, and from the shadows, something more terrifying was stirring. Tyrannosaurus Rex. The name alone is enough to send chills down the spine. The ultimate predator. The undisputed terror of its time. But here's where the story gets even more disturbing. When you put Daspletosaurus and T-Rex side by side, you see something eerie. It's almost as if Daspletosaurus was a prototype, a rough draft of the monster that would follow. T-Rex didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was built, refined over millions of years, shaped by the failures and strengths of its ancestors. And Daspletosaurus? It may have been the closest thing to a direct predecessor. Daspletosaurus wasn't a single species. It was an entire lineage. A chain of evolving predators that each took a step closer to the ultimate killer. The oldest known species, Daspletosaurus turosus, roamed North America around 77 million years ago. It was a massive beast, reaching about 30 feet, 9 meters in length, and weighing nearly 3.8 tons. Its skull alone was over 3 feet long, packed with crushing teeth designed to pierce thick hide and shatter bone. But evolution wasn't done. Around 75 million years ago, a new form emerged, Daspletosaurus wilsoni. This one had even more T-Rex-like features, including a roughened skull texture, possibly covered in large scales, or even a crocodile-like sensory system that made it hyper-aware of its surroundings. It was still around the same size, but it had a more refined killing toolkit. Then, near the very end of the lineage, we see Daspletosaurus horneri, an even more advanced form that lived around 76.5 million years ago. This one was an eerie blend of its predecessors and what would soon become T-Rex, showing a gradual shift in skull shape, jaw structure, and overall build. While Daspletosaurus maxed out at around 30 to 35 feet in length and 4 tons in weight, its successor would take things to an entirely new level. Rex grew to a monstrous 40 to 42 feet, 12.3 to 12.8 meters long, stood over 12 feet tall at the hips, and could weigh up to 9 to 15 tons, more than triple the mass of its predecessor. Its skull stretched an unbelievable 5 to 6 feet in length, housing a bite force of 12,800 psi, the strongest of any land animal in history. Daspletosaurus, while powerful, had a bite force estimated at around 8,000 psi. Devastating, but still overshadowed by the monster that came after. But raw power wasn't the only thing that set them apart. T-Rex was a solo hunter, a lone executioner that relied on its overwhelming strength and endurance to crush anything in its path. Daspletosaurus, however, may have played a different game. Fossil evidence suggests it may have hunted in packs, a terrifying possibility that changes everything. And then, there's the final clue, how evolution sculpted them over time. One of the biggest mysteries lies in their arms. Daspletosaurus had longer, more functional arms compared to T-Rex, but over millions of years, something changed. As the lineage approached the final form of T-Rex, those arms shrank, becoming almost useless. Why? Because nature was perfecting the ultimate predator. The need for grasping prey faded, replaced by a skull so powerful that it rendered arms obsolete. T-Rex wasn't just another predator. It was the end product of generations of refinement. When T-Rex finally rose, when it shattered bones with the strongest bite force in history, when it crushed the earth beneath its feet, it wasn't just ruling its own time. It was finishing a story that started long before. A story of survival, of dominance, of a forgotten king. Daspletosaurus may have vanished from history, but its legacy never truly died. Its instincts, its brutality, its hunger for dominance, they lived on, carried forward in the bloodline of its successor. And if one day, through science or sheer madness, we bring these creatures back, if a T-Rex ever walks the earth again, know this. It won't just be the king of the dinosaurs returning. It will be something more, something older, something even more terrifying. Now go ahead and watch the story of another T-Rex cousin, one that ruled the frozen north, a predator built for survival in a land of darkness and ice. A forgotten king waiting to be remembered.